If you think Alabama can beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, then like today's video right now. It'll be a big one for the Tide and for Georgia with a potential spot, if not almost a locked spot, on the line for the college football playoff. So like that video as we break down the following on today's show. We'll discuss some Alabama-Georgia talking points, namely potentially limiting and how you can try to do it. Brock Bowers, who might win the Tight End of the Year award in college football. A potential transfer option at center for Alabama. The 2024 schedule and some SEC Player of the Week nominees/awards given out. First, Brock Bowers. Can Caleb Downs and Jaylen Key find a way to limit one of the most dynamic playmakers in all of college football? You don't normally see tight ends play the way that Brock Bowers has. He's missed time this year. He's only played 9 games. He still has 51 catches for 661 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's almost just a big slot receiver, a power slot receiver, because he is dynamic with the ball in his hands. So the pressure then goes on the true freshman, Caleb Downs, to step up and make some plays. He got 93 tackles this year, which is awesome. They've been really impactful in that area. But they've also come because he's been the nearest guy targeted in coverage. Not always his fault. Sometimes coverage breakdown, sometimes just zone, and they find the soft spot, whatever. 64.4% completion rate, has allowed 400 yards. That is a significant amount. 2 touchdowns, though, 3 PBUs, 2 pass breakups for a true freshman. I think we're all very happy with the way Caleb Downs looks and assumes that, in 2 years, will end up being a first-round NFL draft pick. And the team has moved him around like they do some of their top safeties of years past. He spent 229 snaps in the box, but he's playing linebacker, right? 224 slot corner, 275 free safety. And that box is kind of, you put your safety, your strong safety in the box, it counts. So think of it as strong safety, really. Slot corner, free safety, he's lined up everywhere. Jaylen Key, meanwhile, has not been targeted nearly as much in coverage this year, or at least not been the nearest closest guy, whatever, in coverage. Only 94 yards allowed on the season, but you got to figure Georgia is going to bring out all the stops to make sure they win this game and try to get back into the college football playoff, which means you will likely see them feature Brock Bowers pretty heavily. So over or under, and I think you got to type in the under if you want to win this game. Tough for me to see Bama winning if Brock Bowers pops off. Over or under 73.5 yards for Brock Bowers. And I'll include rushing too. They will get him involved occasionally with the jet sweeps, and he actually is really good in that area. So O for over, U for under. It's the pinned comment on today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk more transfer portal buzz as it's getting juicy with more and more players entering the portal each day with the regular season now over. Notre Dame center Zeke Correll is going to plans to enter. I don't think it's officially done, but going to enter / timing, whatever. He'll be in the transfer portal, which makes him a logical fit for Alabama. There's the familiarity with Tommy Rees and the fact that Seth McLaughlin could probably be upgraded upon given what we saw this past year. The PFF stats, and again, it's PFF. It's always tricky, from that perspective in terms of no one else does offensive line grades, but it's also only one group of opinions, so they can be wrong, certainly. Correll didn't allow a sack this year, neither did McLaughlin. 2 hits allowed compared to 4, 9 hurries versus 8. The run blocking grade was not great for Correll. It was actually worse than McLaughlin was, but the pass block grade was significantly higher, in part because the snaps were an issue this year. That's like the first job of a center. Snap the ball back to the quarterback. And Seth really struggled early on this, to the point that we were talking about, maybe you got to bench him. Now, as the year went on, and I don't think it's accidental that as the offense got going, it coincided with McLaughlin playing better. I think center is a very underrated position as the pivot point of the offense, but I can't have an inconsistent center. It just makes my life very challenging. You're not always going to have a Ryan Kelly, but it is good to have a reliable, steady center up front. We'll spend some more time on this here in a little bit, but first, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the largest independently owned DFS platform in North America. I love it because it's you against the numbers. You can mix and match sports, NFL, college football, but you just pick 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I love the flex play. by the way, because you only got to get 2 out of 3 right or 3 out of 4, whatever. I've hit 7 of my last 8 with that. And we've already got some college football picks this week for the conference championship games. Give me more than 1.5 J.J. McCarthy touchdowns. Iowa's defense is good, but I think there's going to be enough scoring from the Michigan offense that McCarthy gets the more than there. I think Troy Franklin and Jalen McMillan pop off in the Pac-12, I think, shootout championship game. So give me the more than receiving yards on both of those guys. Troy Franklin is a stud. Over 109.5 on that front, and over 51.5 for McMillan from the Huskies. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Back to the Notre Dame transfer option at center. He played 1,665 snaps at center after mainly playing left guard in 2021. McLaughlin played just a little bit more, 1,702, not, of course, including the upcoming SEC championship game and, in theory, a bowl game for McLaughlin as well. I thought he was going to break out this year. I thought he and Tyler Booker were going to have huge steps forward. Booker was a little bit better, but not as much as I thought he was going to. McLaughlin, I felt, kind of stagnated a little bit. 2022 versus 2021, the hits went up, the hurries went down by only 2, the pass blocking and the run blocking grades all kind of dropped off more than you'd be comfortable doing there. So I do think, in large part, because of the presence of Tommy Rees and because it is how difficult to find viable transfers along the offensive line, that's always a spot that remains weak in the transfer portal. There's always quarterbacks. O-line's a little bit thinner there. So pick a center. ZC for Zeke Correll or SM for Seth McLaughlin. Who would you rather have? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. We got some dates for the 2024 Alabama football schedule, and oh boy, we got at Wisconsin September 14th. I don't know how good they're going to end up being. I think that might be a bit of a rebuilding phase from that perspective. Against Georgia early in the year, September 28th, at Tennessee in October, of course, then at LSU, and then you wrap up the year at Oklahoma and versus Auburn. Look what happens when you play the chaosness of this new-look SEC schedule. That's going to be very challenging for Alabama moving forward. We are getting closer and closer to 11K subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit that sub button for more free Dallas Cowboys YouTube videos. The 2024 cupcakes then break down like this. You're against Western Kentucky, against South Florida, and you got Mercer on November 16th. Now, do make note, that the divisions are going away in 2024. You're going to abandon that in the future and kind of stick with, I'll call it SEC chaos, Southeastern chaos from the games there. Also looks like it might get 2 bye weeks now, which is certainly interesting and unusual from that perspective. I will make note, by the way, that those games had all been listed per Chris Low of ESPN, but should be an entertaining season. SEC is going to be a lot of fun with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the fold. So which game in 2024 are you most looking forward to? Is it the rivalry games, LSU, Tennessee? I'm going to put Georgia in that category. Auburn, of course. Maybe looking forward to playing Oklahoma for the first time. It feels like a very long time. Sound off in the comments section. It's award time. Jalen Milroe was named SEC Offensive Player of the Week thanks to the 4th and 31 conversion. Unbelievable still, even days later. He was 16 of 24 for 256 and 107 yards on the ground as this version of Jalen Milroe. The guy we've seen the past couple weeks has been absolutely incredible, and I think maybe should at least get some Heisman buzz. I don't think he's going to win. That's probably going to be Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix, but I do think you should have some more conversation around that there. Meanwhile, Kaydn Proctor named the co-SEC Freshman of the Week. Helps when sometimes you only bring 2 rushers, but 3 hurries allowed, 57.5 PFF run blocking grade. I don't think it was his best game, frankly. But it's also the award voters, and not like there are a ton of SEC freshmen playing that much, so you kind of got to whittle it down a little bit from that perspective. So show some love to Proctor and Milroe by typing congrats in the comment section right now.